To kick it off, you're on Hacker After Dark. We do give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
on Hacker After Dark.
All right, so there are two big deals of the night that I want to get to. One in the world of college football. We'll get there in a moment. We'll start in the National Football League. So, 4 Detroit Lions plus a member of the Washington Commanders were suspended earlier today for gambling-related issues, one of which former Alabama wide receiver Jameson Williams, who was a first-round pick of the Detroit Lions. Now, Jameson Williams and one of the other players were not caught betting on NFL games. They were caught betting, I believe, on college games, but they were doing so inside the Lions team facility, which apparently is against the rules. So they are suspended for 6 games. The other 3 guys got popped for a full year, very similar to what happened to now current Jaguar Calvin Ridley. Here is my thought. I won't spend a lot of time on this because I want to get to other things. What do we see now with NFL games all over the place, right? The current betting line. You know, professional sports has gotten in bed with Vegas. And, it was only a matter of time, and we're here now. I mean, gambling is an enormous part of TV coverage of these sports. It's an enormous part of what is going on in the world of pro sports. For the longest time, there'll never be a pro sports team in Vegas. No way, no how. Oh, yeah? Well, now you got the NHL out there, you got the NFL out there, and oh, by the way, Major League Baseball's coming with that announcement yesterday about the Oakland Athletics also moving out to Las Vegas. So gambling has arrived in the pro sports scene. Now, am I going to believe and criticize these players for gambling on games? Yeah, you don't want to do that. I'm not saying that. But if you're the National Football League and you're throwing up point spreads on your TV coverage and you're constantly just beating the viewer, the consumer, over the head with lines, why are there injury reports? You go back to the earliest times in the NFL. Have you ever thought about that? Why do NFL teams have to give injury reports? So Joe Blow sitting on the couch knows who's not playing? Of course not. They're for bettors, man. That's what injury reports are. They're for gamblers. So, when you list somebody as out, when you have to release who's going to be out 90 minutes beforehand, that's for the gamblers. Fantasy football, same thing. The gambling aspect. So now you're going to act holier than thou when some of your players start gambling because you are promoting gambling all over the place. Look, can you bet on your own team? Of course not. Because then you bring in all sorts of implications about throwing games for gambling reasons, i.e. Pete Rose and the Cincinnati Reds, and we know what it does to Major League Baseball. So I'm not condoning that. Should you bet on other NFL games that don't involve you? I don't know if I would necessarily condone that, but what I will say is this. It is naive that the NFL has all of these gambling websites spending all these millions upon millions of dollars with them, so much so that the TV networks now openly talk about point spreads and lines and this, that, and the other, and now all of a sudden they want to act higher than, they want to act almighty and all proper when some of their guys are caught doing it. Sort of hypocritical to me. 3 players get a full year. Again, Jameson Williams, that's a weird one. And that's one that we need to dive into more. So he did not even bet on NFL games. He reportedly bet on college games, but he did so within the team facility of Detroit. So I guess if Jameson Williams would have been sitting on his couch at his house in Detroit, it's okay to bet on college games. But because he was in an NFL facility, and I don't even know how you would know that. I guess you ping the cell phone or whatever.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Wi-Fi. Because he's in the NFL facility, then it's a problem. So you're telling me if he walked a block down the road to Joe Blow's sports bar, he can gamble there, but he can't gamble inside the building of the Detroit Lions? Give me a break. But he got a 6-game suspension as well. So it's a bad day for Detroit. These are 4 of their guys, including their first-round pick last year, one of their first-round picks, and Jameson Williams. They're going to miss either 6 games or the entire season. I mean, 4 Detroit Lions. So it is not a good deal today for Detroit. And again, am I condoning gambling on the NFL if you're an NFL player? No, I'm not. I'm simply saying that for the NFL to be this, that, and the other with all these gambling websites now, and to be using point spreads on their television coverage, and to be very open and transparent about the gambling aspect of things, and then when something like this happens and they want to take the high road, come on, man. So we'll see what happens. I would imagine appeals will happen. But to the players, I would say this. You saw what happened to Calvin Ridley, right? You can't be naive to the fact of what was going to happen. The players are at fault here for being morons. Now, maybe not Jameson Williams, because truthfully, I didn't realize I couldn't bet on college games. But for the 3 guys that allegedly did bet on NFL games, when you just saw the punishment Ridley got in Atlanta for doing the same thing, and you do that, well, then I don't have a lot of sympathy for you there. So it's a slippery slope. But again, you're going to throw gambling advertisements and all this stuff on your TV broadcasts. Stuff like this might happen more and more. And they're keeping these strict penalties. But a year suspension for 3 current NFL players and a 6-gamer for first-round pick of the Detroit Lions last year, wide receiver Jameson Williams. That was one of the big deals today. That kind of caught me off guard when I saw that early this afternoon. The other big deal in the world of college football is apparently they're tired of 4 and 4.5 hour games. And they're going to try to speed this thing up. So if you missed this earlier today, the NCAA has come out and said the clock will no longer stop on first downs in college football unless inside of 2 minutes in the second quarter and the fourth quarter. Denmark, you're a college football guy. You got season tickets to your alma mater there, the Florida Gators. When you saw this today, that the clock's going to keep running on first downs, and the only reason they're doing that is to shorten 4 and 4.5 hour games, what was your initial reaction?
I mean, we've heard rumblings the last couple of years that was going to happen, and I thought it should have happened a couple of years ago. I mean, I can remember games on CBS lasting 4.5 hours, and just takes too long, so I don't have a problem with it, and I kind of knew it was going to come. I mean, I really don't care that they're doing it inside 2 minutes in the second and fourth quarter. I want to just do it like the NFL and do it all the way through the game, but I'm fine with it.
I commend them, and I'll tell you why. Games are too long. College football games are too long. There is no way a game should start at 3:30 and should still be going at 7:30. That's nonsense. It's too long. And I love college football as much as the next guy. So don't get me wrong here. I mean, but when you're having 4-hour college football games, it's utterly ridiculous. And there's only certain things you can do. You know, I saw a rule where you would keep the clock running after incompletions. No, I don't want to do that. Remember the one year, what was it, 5-6 years ago, where they started the clock after the kickoff and had like 40 seconds run off the clock before the first snap of the game took place? I don't like stuff like that. But on a first down, in the NFL, you get a first down, the clock still runs. In college football, that's fine. Run the clock still, don't stop it on first downs. I bet it'll shave off considerable amount of time. I bet it will. And again, I like to go either to the Swamp, Doak Campbell, wherever, or in the comfort of HD Stadium at Casa de Hacker. And I love, 3 hour and 15-minute college football games. You get me to 3.5 hours, you get me to 4 hours, that's too long. And they got to do something. And there's only limited things they can do. Again, I don't need the clock running after incompletions. To me, that changes the game. I don't need the clock running after kickoffs before the offense even takes the first snap of a drive. To me, that changes the game. I don't think that after you get a first down, the clock keeps running. I don't think it will be as noticeable as far as changing the game, but it will help as far as making games shorter. And you're seeing this across sports now, right? We see what the pitch clock has done for Major League Baseball. I think college football is going to have similar results. I think people will like 3-hour games. No, look, you can be the most diehard, passionate fan in the history of college football. You can bleed garnet and gold or orange and blue or red and black or whatever. But if you go to a football game and you get in the stadium, 45 minutes beforehand, so a 3:30 game, you're in there at 2:45, and you're still in that same stadium 5.5 hours later, I'd be fuming at that point. I'd be furious. So it does appear that they're going to do some things to shave some time off, and I'm all for it. I think it's a good move. I think it's a move that won't necessarily affect the viewing process of the game, won't affect the on-the-field process of the game, but it will help in making the game shorter. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs going on right now at halftime. Atlanta and Boston. Game 3, Celtics lead that series 2-0. Atlanta up 74-67. Boy, a lot of defense being played there. At halftime, the Hawks up 7. Again, Atlanta desperately needing this game. Of course, as we all know, no one in the history of the NBA has come back from a 3-0 deficit in the NBA playoffs. When it comes to the National Hockey League, I know there's a lot of Boston Bruin fans. I know there's some Florida Panther fans. Game 3, series tied 1-1. Boston and Florida right now, 2 minutes to go in the first period. The Bruins, an early 1-0 lead. Carolina and the Islanders already in the second period, scoreless. Carolina leads that series 2-0. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you on a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Now that we've talked gambling, now that we've talked shortening the college football game, let's get in to the draft. Let's get back into the Jacksonville Jaguars. And with that, let's bring in JP Shadrick. You see him on Jaguars.com. You hear him on Jaguars Radio. And he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Let's look back on the Jaguar offseason. Let's talk Calvin Ridley, Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, and let's look ahead to Thursday night. 6 nights from now, the Jaguars possess the 24th pick in round number 1. JP Shadrick next on a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
Where Jaguars fans find common ground.
Duval till we die.
1010XL.
There is so much I love about spring. Mia here. It's hard to choose a favorite. Kind of like the amazing used selection you'll find at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. I'm talking 400 premium pre-owned on the lot. So to make your decision a little easier, you get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. And with a 4.7 out of 5-star rating and over 16,000 Google reviews, you know my friends at Arlington are going to help you pick the best ride for you. Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Bet on the ball game. Get your money down. Money lines, totals, and parlays. We're cashing tickets all around.
It's baseball betting season, and VSiN's 2023 MLB betting guide is a home run for bettors. Download your free special edition of the guide, featuring a betting preview of the Atlanta Braves and Tampa Bay Rays at 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com.
Hey, Scarline here, and let's talk of getting rid of pain with QC Kinetics. Get lasting relief from joint pain without surgery or drugs. QC Kinetics has clinics in Ponte Vedra and in Mandarin on San Jose. Call 904-274-5522. They've taken it to a whole new level with new medical director, Dr. Peter Atch, a renowned triple board certified doctor with decades of experience. Look, if you're tired of living with pain in your back, hips, shoulders, knees. Don't let anyone tell you surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Call 904-274-5522. Learn how advanced regenerative medicine can get you real relief. Don't go under the knife. Don't deal with downtime. QC Kinetics takes the healing properties from your own body, concentrates them, and puts them into your affected joint to repair and restore the damaged tissue. QC Kinetics, call 904-274-5522.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 21st, 1996, the Chicago Bulls win NBA record 72 games, a record that held until the Warriors' 73 wins in 2015.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting! Hicken here. If you're looking for a winning team to clean your carpets and tile, Zero Res, #1 in the country for customer satisfaction, and they were named Franchise of the Year. No surprise to me, I've had Zero Res clean my home for years, and man, there's nothing better than coming home to a clean house by Zero Res. The smell, the look, it's awesome. Right now, get 2 rooms of carpet cleaning the staircase for $148, savings of $30. Remember, folks, Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimate.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel Heilman from the brand new Fourscore Golf Tavern. We do elevated food, drinks, and golf simulator fun. If you're looking for a delicious meal or maybe a spot for a client, we have lunch specials every day. Need to entertain a few people from out of town? Easy. Just reserve one of our 4 simulator bays. Lunch service starts at 11 a.m. daily. Located in San Marcos Square, we'll see you at lunch at Fourscore Golf Tavern.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Monahan Jewelers is your local family jeweler for 44 years with a huge selection of GIA-certified diamonds, gold, fine gemstone and diamond jewelry, and designer brands from all over the world. With our interest-free financing, we make it easy to acquire the perfect gift. Monahan Jewelers also specializes in custom jewelry design with thousands of customers all across Jacksonville. Come experience our beautiful selection of fine jewelry at your local family jeweler, Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-7473. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And just like that, here we are. The NFL Draft, Thursday, the 27th of April. We are inside of a week away. Of course, the Jaguars own the 24th pick. They have 9 selections in total. And, oh, by the way, the Jaguar offseason program began this week as they are back to work, getting ready for the 2023 season. With that, let's head down to TIAA Bank Field. Our man JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com. You also hear him on Jaguars Radio, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. JP, how are you, man?
Doing great, Hacker, man. It is a little anticlimactic, I must say, picking 24th, but I think I can get used to this. That means the team was pretty good the year before. It's funny not to have to worry or talk a whole lot about exactly who you're going to pick at number 1 overall. So let's get used to this for a while. That would be nice.
Yeah, there's no question. Much rather be picking 24th than be picking first. The ultimate goal, of course, is to be picking 32nd, and that's what the Jaguars are attempting to do in 2023. All right, I haven't talked to you basically since free agency began, JP. So if you take a mile-up view, there was some people that left, some people that came in, a franchise tag, and a reinstated player. When you look at it in totality, how would you assess the Jaguar offseason so far?
Well, I think the Jaguar offseason is much different than the past 2-3 off seasons because they didn't have a whole lot of free agency money to throw around. So that wasn't going to be the plan to begin with. But if you count, and you should count the trade of Calvin Ridley back in November, when he got reinstated, that counts. He's a new player coming in 2023, and Evan Ingram coming back on the franchise tag, and just hearing Trent Baalke talk about it the other day at the media luncheon. It feels like that's going to get done somehow, some way. Either way, he's going to play this season. So, hey, your top tight end who had franchise records in catches and yardage and touchdowns, or not touchdowns, but receptions and yardage for tight ends. And then Calvin Ridley, a guy who is just he feels like he can be a number 1 receiver in the league, if not better than he was before. And the guys you have coming back. Oh, in the running game too. I mean, this is building the right way. This is a really good offseason. I think that it's not going to be the flashy free agency offseason like before, like we said. But for what they had planned, I don't think you could have, planned it out any better. And so far, so good. I mean, we're a week into the offseason program, but to hear Ridley talk and to hear Evan Ingram, want to be here and the whole thing, that's 2 big steps in this offseason.
I want to get to Ridley in a moment because I was unbelievably impressed by his press conference earlier this week. The way I look at it and tell Jaguar fans, JP, that are concerned about Arden Key and Jawan Taylor and the guys that left, look, as great as Arden Key was, he played 41% of the defensive snaps. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. You look at the 22 guys that started that game in Kansas City, 90 days ago, right? 13 weeks ago tomorrow. And 21 of those 22 guys are going to be back here in Jacksonville. The one defection is Jawan Taylor, the one starter anyway. But that doesn't take into account Cam Robinson, Ben Barch, and Calvin Ridley that were not on the field in Kansas City. So I don't know how people say that the Jaguars are worse off. I don't see it that way at all. If nothing else, JP, they're as good, if not a little bit better than they were when they left that field at Arrowhead.
Who's worried about Arden Key leaving?
Well,
that's where I'm at.
He did help build the city, JP.
I mean, he's a good veteran player. He was here for a short time, and that's fine. And those guys, you can find those guys. Like, you're supposed to be able to find that type of player and have veteran especially defensive line players that come through. I think the loss of him, yes, he was a good player in key moments late last season, and you can't underestimate that. That was a big deal for this team. But I think it's overblown. Any of that is overblown. You can find that type of player. You should be able to, at least in free agency somewhere else in the NFL or somewhere on your roster already. Maybe somebody steps up into that role. And then the right tackle thing, yes. Jawan Taylor played very well last year. It was a contract year for him, draft pick here. You wanted to make it work out, but just financially, come on. The guy got $20 million a year or whatever he got to play left tackle in Kansas City. You're not going to match that. You're not going to come close to that. And this is where the drafting of Walker Little comes in. So, hey, if Walker's your guy, hey, either jump in at right tackle or, do you want to compete at left and see if you're going to move Cam Robinson? I'm not a huge fan of that idea just because you paid Cam Robinson to be a left tackle. But you have Walker Little there in your back pocket. If you're not as comfortable with him for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Down the stretch, he played really well at left tackle especially. Then, hey, go draft a guy. So, and then they got in free agency just a little while ago, a guy who can play swing. So there you go. I mean, they've got it. They can roll out a ball right now, Hacker, and be comfortable playing. And I think that's the goal going into every draft, right? You don't have to draft a guy and have him start tomorrow. Like that's a difficult position to put the rookie in and the team in. So the goal is if they rolled a ball out, in May and said, hey, it's week 1 magically, okay, we can play. And that's the idea.
The interesting thing, in JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com, Jaguars Radio here with us, even with the loss of Jawan Taylor, you bring in Josh Wells, you bring in Chandler Brewer from the Rams. I don't know how many NFL teams can say this. By my count, JP, the Jaguars have 8 offensive linemen that started at least 4 games in the NFL in 2022. I don't know if that means anything, but that seems like an awful lot of guys that played an awful lot of football in that Jaguar O-line room.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing, and especially when you have your going into his 3rd-year quarterback, you want guys who are experienced up there blocking for him, right? You don't want to have them run around and get hit. I mean, ask Andrew Luck what that feels like. That's not ideal. Football. So protect your investment. You're going to make a really big investment in the quarterback position, hopefully, if things go well this year and beyond. So, yes, go get some of those guys who have played a lot of football, who understand it, who are grown men, and I think you can step in right now. Now, that's not to say they won't draft one. They still could do that, Hacker, like you said. But experience matters, especially in the offensive line. Grown man strength really matters on the offensive line.
JP, you've been in that press conference room for over a decade down there at the stadium. When I was watching and listening to Calvin Ridley earlier this week, first off, just unbelievably impressed. And second, I mean, outside of Jalen Ramsey, I guess he's the only guy I could really think of. When Calvin Ridley stood at that podium and said, look, I'm a great football player. I mean, that's Stephon Diggs-esque in Buffalo. That's Travis Kelce-esque in Kansas City. The Jaguars haven't had that moxie, that whatever you want to call it, cachet. And for Calvin Ridley, some people call it arrogance. I thought it was refreshing to hear a Jacksonville Jaguar in a setting like that, although I do believe he was also humble in what he was saying, look, I was a 1,400-yard receiver with a broken foot. Imagine what I could do healthy now. The sky, to me, is the limit for Calvin Ridley in this offense.
Yeah, I think you need to separate anything between Calvin Ridley and Jalen Ramsey's moxie. Like, it's a totally different world what Ramsey was going after, right? Like, that's a totally different animal. It felt, at least the first time being around Calvin the other day, that he was genuine about it. I mean, the guy missed football. He loved football. He breathed football for almost his entire life until, he was hurt and left after week 5 2 seasons ago, and then was kicked out of the game last year. And, that can pull on you, and there was a lot going on around him, and it's all settled down, it sounds like. So that's a good thing. And I love that quote. The one you mentioned there, the end of it, that was, for me, the money quote of the whole thing was, all these people are talking about it. Can I perform? Well, I mean, why can't I be better? You don't know what I've been doing for the last year. I might be a better receiver. I might be faster. I might be stronger. And I like that approach. That tells you it means something to him, and he's going to be out to prove something. And certainly he should be. Tier 5, it's a contract year for him. If he puts together a big year this year, guess what? The paycheck's coming again for Calvin. So he understands that too, I think. But yeah, I mean, a little different moxie than Jalen had. Jalen was in your face about it, didn't care. It was not bashful about any of that. Calvin at least understood that, hey man, I know I'm good. I know I have a certain standard, and this is what the standard should be, not just for me, but I think for the rest of the team.
Jaguars.com is where you find JP Shadrick, also Jaguars Radio, and it never ceases to amaze me the work you guys do on the website when putting together those video and those little shows. The Hunt debuted, I guess, last week, and it was, again, phenomenal. You guys do such a great job with that. But clearly, when you guys were putting that together and you guys watched the first 20 seconds, you knew what the story was going to be, and that was Trent Baalke having that clown figurine on his desk as a reminder and proving people wrong, a motivation for the Jaguar general manager. To me, JP, it's the first time he's really talked about it in any, setting publicly. But you can tell it affected him, and you can tell he uses it as motivation. And, again, the Hunt was a great thing. You guys are going to have many more episodes coming out. But I thought it was really telling that Baalke kind of went public with that for the first time.
Yeah, you're right. It was the first time, I think, that's been out there that he's addressed anything around something like that, at least on that scale, right? And you know what? Good for him, man. Because it's been a rocky road here, man. There's been a lot of change. He was here as the kind of the second in charge, and then the change happened with Caldwell, and here comes Balky into the thing, and here comes Urban, and there's a lot of chaos and stuff going on, and then another change. I mean, it's been constant change. So, you know, he's been able, at least so far, to keep his head about him and try the best he can to deliver great players and a great roster to this team. And you can't argue with what's happened the last year or so, especially. Free agent guys last year were unbelievable. Obviously, those guys played outstanding football for the most part last season. The wide receivers certainly, and then Luka, and those are the big three of that free agency class, and they all stood out. So you got to give him a lot of credit for getting those guys in the building. And then the draft picks, some of those guys need to develop a little bit, but hey, they're in the building now, and they've got time to do that. And, you know, that's the next step. That's what Doug Peterson talked about too, right? I mean, they need some more pass rush, but we believe in the guys in this room. That's Trayvon Walker, who was the number one pick. That's Devin Lloyd in some instances, most likely, as well, who was another first-round pick. Those are bulky draft picks. So, so give him some credit. And, you know, he's fighting through it and getting players in here, and they put together a good playoff run last year. It's now just about sustaining that moving ahead. It's not a 1 year and done, hopefully, and like 2017 was. That collapsed. Can't have a collapse, or it's going to be the same thing that happened in 2017. So he understands that, I believe, and he's been around the league long enough to understand what sustained success feels like. He saw it firsthand in San Francisco for a little bit. So maybe they're on the right track now.
Final moments here with JP Shadrick. JP, I want to end with the draft and what you guys have coming up next week on Jaguars.com. Before we get there, you're in that building every day, man. It's interesting because, look, on Thanksgiving, the Jaguars were 4-8, all right? And it seemed like it was same old, same old. And now here we are 5 months later, and there will not be a publication that comes out predicting, you know, playoffs or whatnot that doesn't have the Jaguars winning the AFC South. I mean, the transformation has been very positive for Jacksonville, but I think it speaks volumes to the rest of the division. And, JP, I think there's a very good chance next Thursday night you could potentially have two or even all three other division rivals taking quarterbacks very, very early.
There's no doubt, and that changed in a hurry, right? I mean, you know, we know Houston for a little bit, but the Colts, you know, they had some veteran guys in there. None of those guys worked out like they planned it. Tennessee's been a run-oriented group, but let's see how long that really lasts in the long run. The Jaguars finally slayed that dragon last year, and, you know, maybe they've cracked the code on that, right? That would be nice to see, and so who knows about the future of the quarterback position there too. That's what happens when you have some success, right? Other teams try to figure out how to match you, and hey, it was so successful last year. In certain parts, they had some things they fell short on. Yes, we'll be the first to admit that. But they've got the quarterback. They've got returning weapons on offense. They're adding a couple pieces there. The defense can get a little better. That's almost really what they need to do. They don't need to be a shutdown 2000 Ravens defense hacker. They just need to take the ball away a little bit more, set up this group. Yeah, they'll give up a couple touchdowns, but if you get some turnovers in key moments, you can keep this team in a game. I think that's the goal on defense. It should be, at least in my opinion, because this offense is going to pump points and yardage all season long. So the rest of the division is now playing catch up, which is okay. It's April. We're saying that. Let's see it on the field September and October. And see what happens there. That's the real proof of what happened this offseason. But it's a good feeling, I'll tell you that, Hacker, to be kind of on the top of the AFC South for now. But it never ends, right? I mean, there's always teams getting better. There's always free agency. There's always a draft. There's always ways for teams to improve. The balance of the league is unlike really any other. So you better get it while you can, because it might not last forever.
All right, JP, next Thursday night, the 27th, number 24 in round one. Of course, 9 picks in total for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When it comes to draft coverage, what can people look forward to over on Jaguars.com?
Well, I mean, Hacker, we've got it all, man. Like, we're all over the board. We got radio, we got podcasts, we've got video on the website, we've got social media content. It's all week long. Starts early in the week. We'll have a Huddle Up podcast on Tuesday this week. Wednesday, we'll have Drive Time. We'll be in Daly's Place Wednesday. And then, of course, Thursday night, happy hour radio at 4 o'clock. And then a pre-draft video show on the social media pages and the website before 8 o'clock to get you ready for the draft. I'll have the last word right before the draft with General Manager Trent Baalke and get his thoughts about everything going on that day, leading into it, his comfort level going into now his second, third draft with the Jaguars. He's been here for a few years now, so we'll get that going on. Of course, we'll be live after every single pick on the team website immediately after instant analysis. Assistant coaches will come by. We'll have everything for you all weekend long, not just Thursday, but Friday for the second and third round and the rest on Saturday as well. So we're fired up, man.
It's a busy time of year. The draft happens, and then you blink, and the Jaguars will be on the field for OTAs in the very near future. JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio. JP, appreciate the time, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Hacker, good talking to you, man. Have a good one.
This just in on Hacker After Dark.
Thank you to JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com. Always appreciate his time here with us. Couple of pieces of breaking news in the NBA tonight revolving around some pretty big injuries. Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers already ruled out for their Game 4 matchup against Phoenix. Boy, that's not good for the Clippers. They're already without Paul George. They trail that series 2-1. Kawhi Leonard will not play in Game 4. And an interesting one, Joel Embiid last night for Philadelphia essentially won the game for them with a great defensive play. They lead Brooklyn 3-0, so it's not that big a deal yet. But he's going to miss Game 4 with a right knee sprain, which means he came back last night and played on a sprained right knee when he won the game for Philadelphia. But both Joel Embiid of the 76ers, he's out for Game 4 of their series against Brooklyn, and Kawhi Leonard of the Los Angeles Clippers, he is out for Game 4 of their series against the Phoenix Suns. I will tell you, Atlanta and Boston, they are going at it. Atlanta up 87-79. They're just now midway through the third quarter. Good heavens. A lot of points going up in the ATL tonight. Celtics lead that series 2-0. Atlanta obviously needs this one to have any chance in that series. They're up 8 at the midway point of the third quarter. Coming up next into the world of college football, we'll get back into the draft in about 20 minutes with John Vogel of NFL Draft Blitz. But back into the world of college football, a little Florida State talk, a little Graham Mertz talk as well. That's next. Friday night, Hacker After Dark. And Jacksonville, we're glad you are with us.
Feel the thrill of victory.
Coming to the checkered flag. I can't believe what I just saw.
This Sunday at Talladega. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. From the station with the most horsepower, 1010XL.
Imagine kicking back with a cocktail and enjoying beautiful views of Riverside, the St. Johns River, and downtown. You can do just that from the rooftop bar at Black Sheep in historic 5 Points. Happy hour is Tuesday through Sunday from 4 to 7 p.m. For all you night owls, enjoy nightcap specials on Friday and Saturday from 10 p.m. to midnight. Snack on some delicious offerings from the bar menu like fried green olives or the famous Black Sheep Burger. Make your next happy hour at Black Sheep.
It's time to play Fix That Plumbing Problem. What do you do if you have a leaky pipe? Contestant 1.
Put a bucket under it?
That's it.
And maybe a towel?
Contestant 2. That's right. Just call the Duck.
Clogged drains, leaky pipes to full repipes, just call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter. Commercial, residential, any plumbing issue.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Now is the perfect time to make sure your home is protected from storms by scheduling a complimentary roof inspection with Universal Roof and Contracting. Protect your biggest investment, your home. Get a free wind mitigation with your full roof replacement plus a free Platinum Protection Warranty upgrade. This offer expires April 30th and restrictions apply. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 133-0147, CBC 125-8484.
UniversalRoof.com.
You love free. And at Ameris Bank, so do we. That's why we're proud to offer worry-free, hassle-free Ameris Bank free checking. Manage your money your way with convenient access to digital, mobile, and telephone banking, all with no monthly service fee or minimum balance requirements. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. For more information or to open an account, visit our local bankers in person or online at amerisbank.com/free checking. Other fees such as overdraft fees may apply. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal housing.
Sometimes you agree with him, sometimes you don't.
On the runway, I'm coming in hot.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
E.T. here, and y'all know how much I like my brown water, but I ain't gonna lie, it gives me headaches sometimes. So my alternative is Brackish Vodka. This gluten-free alternative to Tito's is 100% local, and all monies stays right here in Duval. Not only does Brackish Vodka make you feel good, but when you support Brackish Vodka, you're also helping local charities. Try it side by side with your favorite vodka, and you will taste and smell how natural Brackish Vodka really is. And when you do, remember who sent you. Come on, somebody.
General RV is having a factory direct pricing sale. Factory direct. Factory direct. It's all happening April 19th through the 23rd. We want to make it easy for you to get out camping, so we're rolling back prices. They can't get any lower. 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 That means thousands of dollars in savings on motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, and more. General RV is having a factory direct pricing sale. Only at General RV in Orange Park on Wells Road off 295.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, is home this weekend at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark. Tonight is Red Shirt Friday with post-game fireworks presented by Gate Express Car Wash. Tomorrow, the first 2,000 fans get Jumbo Shrimp socks plus more fireworks. Then on Sunday at 3:05, it's Baptist Health Sunday Family Fun Day. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5.
At Andy's Automotive and Truck Services, they know that your company's fleet is more than just a bunch of cars and trucks. It's your livelihood, your reputation, your pride. So when you need routine fleet maintenance or emergency repairs, Andy's offers after-hours and mobile service to minimize your downtime and keep your fleet running like new. While you care for your employees and customers, rest assured Andy's Automotive will take care of your fleet. Visit the team at andysats.com.
Northeast Florida Safety Council has been keeping Florida safe for 80 years. I'm Dominic Whitley, Environmental Health and Safety Director. What kind of safety culture have you developed at your business? Safety is a saver of lives, limb, and the bottom line. A great safety culture protects your most important investments, your employees and your business, and results in great success. Let us help you develop a successful safety culture. Visit us at nefsc.org and become an elite member today. Again, that is nefsc.org.
From Cuba to Nicaragua, the journey of master blender Rene Lorenzo has created some masterpieces. HVC Cigars boast a superb blend of the best Nicaraguan tobaccos in smooth and flavorful handcrafted cigars. Come out and taste these masterful blends at Tobacco Cove this Saturday from 1 to 4 to experience a Nicaraguan perfection. Kick back and relax in our comfortable lounge with food, prizes, and great deals on HVC Cigars. Tobacco Cove at Bay Meadows in San Jose this Saturday from 1 to 4 for a taste of Nicaragua.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us here till 10 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we're streaming for your viewing pleasure on YouTube and on Twitter. Just search 1010XL on YouTube and at 1010XL on Twitter. You will see the show there every night until 10 o'clock. Tonight is no different, so when you get home from wherever you're at on a Friday evening, you can feel free to give us a watch, both on Twitter and on YouTube. With Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. To the world of college football we go for a moment. You know, we talk about the transfer portal, right? And of course, Gator fans, you know, your quarterback is most likely going to be Graham Mertz, who transferred in from Wisconsin. But when you see the amount of quarterbacks that were in the portal, it's pretty surprising, and it's also going to drive you crazy more than likely. So CBS Sports earlier today did their transfer portal quarterback tiers, all right? Tier 1 being the best, on down to Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. We'll let you know where Graham Mertz is in a moment because obviously he's not in Tier 1. Tier 1, playoff hopefuls, quarterbacks that switched in the transfer portal. Sam Hartman, right, of course, from Wake Forest to Notre Dame. There was all the thought that Sam Hartman could be in play for Florida. Nope. He goes to South Bend, and I think Sam Hartman with Notre Dame is going to do some really good things. Brennan Armstrong, North Carolina State. Armstrong, a very good quarterback at Virginia, now goes in the same conference to North Carolina State. CBS actually put DJ Uiagalelei in here. Remember, he's now at Oregon State, no longer at Clemson for DJU. And boy, DJU struggled in a big way his final games, really the final year at Clemson. But now he goes about as far away from Clemson, South Carolina as you can go. From Clemson, South Carolina to Corvallis, Oregon. And we'll see what DJU can do up at Oregon State, but he is in the Tier 1, which I thought was interesting. And then a couple of guys that folks around here in the Southeast may not know too much about. Hudson Card, the new quarterback at Purdue. Then you get into Tier 2, quarterbacks that potentially could break out this year. And there's Devin Leary. Devin Leary, another guy that Florida fans wanted. He transfers out of North Carolina State, goes to Kentucky. So not only did Florida not get Devin Leary, they're going to have to play Devin Leary this year in Lexington, in the Commonwealth, when Florida goes to Kentucky, which will be a very tough game, obviously. Other folks in Tier 2, Phil Yurkovich from Boston College to Pitt. Tanner Mordecai, the brand new Wisconsin quarterback, he replaces Graham Mertz. And then you go on down to a Deion's kid at Colorado, of course, transferring in from Jackson State. Then you get to Tier 3, bringing stability to the position, right? Now, this is where Graham Mertz might be, you say. Oh, no. Not so fast. Spencer Sanders, the Oklahoma State quarterback that transferred to Ole Miss. There's another one that transferred into the Southeastern Conference, but he went to Ole Miss. Then you go down and you look at Cade McNamara, who left Michigan to go to Iowa, remaining in the Big Ten. Alan Bowman, the brand new quarterback at Oklahoma State. And you keep going down, and then finally in Tier 4, looking to take the next step. And there's Graham Mertz.
Really?
And let me read you what they say about Graham Mertz. Mertz was touted as the most exciting quarterback recruit in Wisconsin history, but was never able to put things together in 4 years with the Badgers. Now he gets a fresh start under Billy Napier at Florida. The Gators are looking for answers at quarterback after Anthony Richardson opted to leave for the draft and after just one season as a starter. Mertz will have to win the starting job over Jack Miller. There better not be a competition there. But two of those top three receivers and the top tight end are both back to ease the transition. That's laughable to me. All right, so because you have Ricky Pearsall and Xavier Henderson back, that's going to ease Graham Mertz's transition. Nothing against CBS Sports, but that makes me think that whoever wrote this just simply didn't watch a lot of Florida football last year. Graham Mertz could be a fine quarterback. He's played 32 college football games. Last year, he threw 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions as a Wisconsin Badger. He's got a ton of experience playing in the Big Ten. I'm not faulting Graham Mertz. And apparently, from what I've been told, the Florida coaches like him a lot more than Florida fans believe. Apparently, Graham Mertz was always pretty high on their list. Let's hope they're right. But it is just a tough, daunting schedule. The talent at Florida isn't great this year. And that leads me to this. We talked about this earlier in the week. In case you missed it, CBS also put out a list of the top 7 college football head coaches in the Power 5 facing the most pressure heading into the 2023 season. And 2 of the guys of those 7 were Billy Napier at Florida and Mario Cristobal at Miami. The interesting thing, if you look at the exact same list a year ago, CBS does it every year. Barrett Sallee does a great job with it. The top 7 coaches facing the most pressure coming into the 2022 season a year ago, Scott Frost was on that list. He got fired. Brian Harsin was on that list at Auburn. He got fired. But Mike Norvell was on that list. And Florida State, AD, president, the higher-ups there in Tallahassee, showed patience, stuck with Mike Norvell through 2 awful seasons. Rewind the clock back a year ago. Florida State fan, you know as well as I do, you were done with Mike Norvell. You were calling in here every night. You were tweeting every night. Let Norvell go. Go get Dion. Remember that? Go get Dion. We don't need Mike Norvell. No. Mike Norvell should have won National Coach of the Year last year. Mike Norvell did a fantastic job leading that team to 10 wins. And there's optimism in Tallahassee this year with all the guys they have returning, including quarterback Jordan Travis, that they could be one of those teams that could surprise for a playoff spot. Why do I bring all this up? Patience. If you're Florida and Billy Napier, look, 2023 might be rough. You find me 8 wins on that Gator schedule. They don't exist. At LSU, at Utah, Georgia, Florida State, at Kentucky, at South Carolina, Tennessee. There are not 8 wins on that schedule. I'm not sure if there are 7 wins on that schedule. It's going to be another tough year in Gainesville. I think Cristobal will do a little better in Miami, but this somewhat applies to him as well because he was on that CBS list earlier in the week. Miami and Florida need to take a lesson from Florida State. You've got to give your new head coach 3 years. And after 3 full seasons, if you don't like the way things are going, then there's a conversation to be had. But how foolish would Florida State have looked if they let Norvell go before he did what he did last year? You got to get 3 full years. So I don't care how bad it gets for the Gators or the Hurricanes, but particularly Florida, even if they go 5-7, 6-6, whatever, and Gator fans are spitting mad and firebillynapier.com is launched, because you know it will be. And you know, Gator fans, you have no patience whatsoever historically for bad things going on with your football program. You need to change that mindset and that attitude. You got to give Billy Napier at least 3 years. If you see what he's doing on the recruiting trail right now, he's picking up some steam, man. A 2024 class, even the 2025 class. Some nice things are happening. You got to give him time, no matter how bad it gets with Graham Mertz at quarterback here in 2023. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go, Jacksonville. We're with you till 10 o'clock. As always, we appreciate you, and we're glad you are spending your Friday evening with us. Back into the world of the National Football League. Speaking of Florida, let's talk Anthony Richardson. Let's talk a little O'Cyrus Torrence. And let's talk NFL Draft with John Vogel. NFL Draft Blitz. He's one of our guys here on Hacker After Dark. Let's have that conversation next. It's a Friday night here in the city of Jacksonville, talking NFL Draft with you here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
I'm Tom Coughlin.
Other than family, the greatest feeling in the world is when all of a sudden you realize you're the world champion.
I'm 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Round up your friends and coworkers for the start of the Topgolf Spring Leagues. Each Monday from 6 to 9 p.m. for 8 weeks, you and your crew can compete for prizes and fun at Topgolf Jacksonville. Go to topgolf.com/leagues to sign up.
Hey folks, you ever search why Shark Coatings is the best? Well, one of the many reasons is our polyurea. We don't just buy it from anyone who has it in stock. We custom blend ours, specializing between summer and winter blend, providing you with the best product for our area. After grinding the concrete, that polyurea will form a permanent bond at the molecular level and will not pull away like epoxy. With Shark Coatings, not only will your garage look awesome, but your pool deck, patio, or driveway will too. See how Shark Coatings can make a difference for you. Call, click, or text today.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Green Beret Charity Golf Tournament at the Golf Club of Southampton is May 12th. To learn more, search the Green Beret Golf Tournament at Southampton.
Help support the amazing work of Catholic Charities while you have a great day on the golf course at the Transforming Lives Golf Tournament at St. John's Country Club, May 12th. Get tickets at ccbsaintaug.org.
The annual Wolfson Children's Hospital Bass Tournament is May 18th through the 20th. Register at wolfsonsbasstournament.com.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010xl.com.
On the outside, everything looks fine, but on the inside, an unseen enemy is plotting the destruction of your home. Termites can be deadly to your home unless you fight back with Southern Fumigation. 259-9811. They will service your home from inspection to completion. No contracting out your job to other companies. 259-9811. Southern Fumigation offers a free pest inspection with no obligation. That's Southern Fumigation, 259-9811.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Come to Bowden Eye for all your eye care needs. Hicken here. Did you know that dry eye disease affects up to 60 million Americans? Dry eye disease is known to progress. Dry eye disease is one of the most common but least diagnosed eye conditions doctors see in their patients. Many of us who have dry eye may not even feel it. At Bowden Eye and Associates, visit today for your personal consultation. Keeping the First Coast focused. Bowden Eye and Associates, new location now open off County Road 210 in St. Johns County.
Hey, Carline here, and let's talk of getting rid of pain with QC Kinetics. Get lasting relief from joint pain without surgery or drugs. QC Kinetics has clinics in Ponte Vedra and in Mandarin on San Jose. Call 904-274-5522. They've taken it to a whole new level with new medical director, Dr. Peter Atch, a renowned triple board certified doctor with decades of experience. Look, if you're tired of living with pain in your back, hips, shoulders, knees, don't let anyone tell you surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Call 904-274-5522. Learn how advanced regenerative medicine can get you real relief. Don't go under the knife. Don't deal with downtime. QC Kinetics takes the healing properties from your own body, concentrates them, and puts them into your affected joint to repair and restore the damaged tissue. QC Kinetics, call 904-274-5522.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is teaming up with the NFL to inspire change. From now to draft day, Big Brothers Big Sisters is following the NFL draft, aiming to recruit potential bigs. Hi, I'm Brent from the 1010 sales team. I'm committed as a mentor, and we need you to step up and become a mentor too. There's a waiting list of more than 50 children hoping for a mentor. It's just a few hours a month. Be a mentor. Become a big. Visit bbsnefl.org. Be a mentor or visit Big Brothers Big Sisters and click on Big Draft. Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I said yes to Yas, Dr. Mitchell Yas, and the Yas Method. Now I know, you've probably tried medications, treatments, injections, even surgery. Maybe the reason you're still in pain is because they're treating the wrong thing and not addressing the root causes. Well, I know from personal experience, this does happen. But I found the best kept secret in pain elimination, Dr. Yas and the Yas Method. Call them today, 904-906-YASS, and say yes to Yas.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now,
hello.
Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We are inside of 2 weeks, heck, way inside of 2 weeks till the NFL draft. It is next Thursday in Kansas City, Missouri. Of course, the Jaguars hold the 24th pick in round number 1. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk AFC South, a little Anthony Richardson as well with my friend John Vogel. NFL Draft Blitz is where you find him, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. John, how you doing, man?
Great, man. Thanks for the invite, and always happy to talk some ball with somebody, you know.
Hey, John, certainly appreciate it. Know you're very busy this time of year. For guys like you, I mean, this is what you do, right? You study the draft year-round, and now here we are on the doorstep of the draft, a culmination of about, what, a year's worth of work for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, it's more than that, you know, because we look at a lot of these guys years in advance. At this point of my career, I'm building a database that goes back, you know, I've got guys I'm looking at their juniors in high school this year, you know, that are projected up to be fitting where the NFL is going in certain different positions. And so the earlier jump start you have on a lot of these guys, the better now, especially with the way NIL is taking over college football and all of that. You know, you get a really good feel for some of these guys and who's got the professional mentality. So really it's years of accumulated work that all comes together for this year. You know, when you get that down to where, you know, people declare for the draft, that's when you focus on a specific group. And then as soon as that draft's over, it's on back to everybody else all over again.
John, obviously in years past, it was a lot easier to pinpoint what the Jaguars were going to do. That's what happens when you pick number 1 in back-to-back years. And then all of a sudden, Doug Peterson comes in here, and the Jaguars make it to the AFC divisional playoff. So now picking at 24th. We'll get to the pick in a moment. But a guy like you, right? You studied Trayvon Walker and Devin Lloyd and ETN and obviously Trevor. And you see these young guys. Luke Fortner started every game at center last year for the Jaguars. What's your assessment of the first and second year Jaguars and how they really grew up last season?
No, I thought first off, you know, there was a lot of people weren't happy about the Trayvon Walker pick last year, I think. And when you look at the Georgia defense and you see how he was used, it wasn't I knew immediately it wasn't how, you know, Peterson and Balky wanted to use him. I knew that they had a different plan. They wanted to really unlock him because Georgia is such a scheme-specific team. They're going to focus on making sure that everybody plays the scheme and not so much unleash the player. And Walker was kind of one of those guys. You know, Nolan Smith this year is another one of those guys. But overall, I think that it was a great class. First off, both years, ETN's got a lot of speed. I thought it was smart to pair him with Lawrence, you know, so that you've got backfield chemistry and symmetry as you're building an offense together. I know that obviously they had to scratch it and restart, you know, with the Urban Meyer situation, but it was a smart move to go ahead and do that. You have a lot of speed between those two as well. Like they're both capable runners, especially ETN. He's a 4.3 40 probably if he could ever run it. But on the defensive side, yeah, they did a great job. And, you know, not just those guys, but Chad Muma a couple years ago too. Like he was a great addition as well that really helped that team. It's all about really unlocking the potential and letting them unleash themselves. And that's what they're working on doing. And I think they've done a great job with all of that.
John Vogel covers the NFL Draft for NFL Draft Blitz. He's with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. John, Evan Ingram's going to be back. Calvin Ridley is going to be back in the league as well in Jacksonville. The fact that you pair Ingram, who is returning, Ridley, who gets reinstated, with Christian Kirk, with Zay Jones, with ETN, as we talked about, and, of course, Lawrence at quarterback. Boy, I got to tell you, John, looking at that on paper, man, that looks like a pretty good offense.
Oh, yeah, no, it looks like something that could put a lot of points on the board. And this is a team that put a lot of points on the board before. You know what I'm saying? Doug Peterson is a great offensive schemer. He comes from the Andy Reid tree of coaches, you know, so he's very heavily influenced by a lot of the things that Reid does. And you see it in the schemes, you know. There's actually a Twitter account. I think it's at The Honest NFL. And if you want to learn about Doug Peterson schemes or anything like that, this guy's got a Google database that's basically just schemes, and he breaks down a lot of the stuff that Peterson did with the Jaguars specifically last year. And when you study some of that stuff, the way that he attacks coverages, the way that he understands how a defense is going to play his offense and how prepared he is for that, he'll scheme specific plays. You know, I think when you look at that, the playoff game against the Chargers, There were certain plays that he knew what their tendencies were in coverage and designed plays specifically for that game to beat those coverages. So Peterson, just giving him another weapon like Ridley is just terrifying, I think. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they add one or two more capable weapons in the draft this year, because the deeper that you go, the more personnel you can rotate through, the better your offense is going to be.
And to that point, let's get to the 24th pick and maybe look into the second round as well. John, conventional thinking here, Jawan Taylor's gone. Now they signed a veteran in Josh Wells to probably be the swing tackle for Cam Robinson and Walker Little, but certainly offensive tackle has been talked about a lot. Corner has been talked about a lot because right now you got Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams. There's kind of a drop-off after that. I think rush end has been talked about a lot, although I'm still of the thinking that either it's Justin Houston, Frank Clark, somebody along those lines the Jaguars are going to bring in at some point. But what do you think about Jacksonville at 24, particularly when it comes to, say, the corner, tackle, and maybe rush end spots?
Yeah, so I think all of those are viable, and it's just going to depend how the board falls. From what I'm hearing, there's not a lot of interest in offensive skill position players outside of Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas, and wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. I had to always get, it's like, it's my ADD goes crazy when I have to say that name. The thing that's funny too is outside of those two, there's not a lot of interest in the first round with those position groups. So these Quentin Johnstons, Jalen Hyatts, players like that you're hearing. Michael Mayer probably comes off the board in the first 20 picks. I'd be surprised if he gets past 15. But so once you get past that group, now you've got a lot of offensive linemen that are projected to come off the board between 15 and 20. And if that happens, I think that, you get a run on defensive linemen as well. And so now you got all these non-sexy picks that are coming off the board. As NFL fans would see it, at least, but people are building their depth. And so it just kind of depends how the corners fall. I think if someone like Joey Porter Jr. falls down, they're going to jump on him. I think that if somebody like maybe Emmanuel Forbes, if there's a lot of interest in him or the back end of the first round, they could take him there as a corner. As a rush end, again, it just kind of depends. You know what I'm saying? How the board falls. Someone like Will McDonald IV out of Iowa State could make some sense right there. I know that there's a lot of interest with him. And then I'll give you a sleeper. They really have met extensively with a tight end, actually, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, who kind of fits that Peterson style where you can use him a lot of the same ways that Engram is used, and it gives you another weapon where you could keep those guys fresh and rotate. So I don't know if they go tight end. I think there might be bigger holes, but Kincaid would be another weapon that you just put in the slot. Now you have a big slot to go with Evan Engram, who already plays the majority of his snaps there, and that's pretty terrifying.
Couple of more for John Vogel. NFL Draft Blitz is where you can find him. He's with us on 1010XL here in Jacksonville. John, the quarterback position is one the Jaguars and the Jaguar fans are looking at, not because they're going to take one, obviously, with Trevor Lawrence, but you look in the AFC South, and my goodness, the thought is Houston goes quarterback at 2. The thought is Indianapolis goes quarterback at 4, and there's a growing thought that Tennessee may be in the market to trade up to go quarterback in the top 5. So whether it's Bryce Young, Will Levis, certainly Anthony Richardson, we're taking notice of all of those guys, John, because there's a better chance than not that 1 or 2 or even 3 of those guys may end up in the AFC South.
Yeah, and I think with the way that everything's kind of looking right now, Bryce Young probably comes off the board number 1 to Carolina. A lot of the talking heads started talking about that a couple weeks ago. The line last time I looked, I think yesterday, was at -400 for Bryce Young to go number 1. And so I think if they go number 1, the Texans have 2 first-round picks to play with. Because they have the first-round pick at 12th overall from the Browns. I think that they're going to kind of look to play around with it a little bit and maybe go defensive player like a Will Anderson Jr. at 2. I think if that happens, you could be looking at a guy like Hendon Hooker toward the back end of the first round. Houston could trade back. They might even just take him at 12 because that makes a lot of sense. Or they trade back up to get someone like Will Levis, who would make a lot of sense there too. He's got some familiarity with that system. The Colts, I think that Anthony Richardson would be a great fit for them. I mean, Shane Steichen comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles. He just, worked with Jalen Hurts the last couple of years and really helped develop him as a passer, built him a system that allows him to, play fast and get the ball out accurately and play to his strengths. And I think that Richardson is built similarly in that skill set, that passing skill set to Hurts. So I would love to see that combination. I think that they could do a lot of damage. And yeah, Tennessee's definitely in the quarterback market. I mean, if they roll out, Ryan Tannehill at quarterback one more time, I think the Tennessee fans will riot. They don't want to run with that guy. They're not sold on Malik Willis, the 3rd round pick last year. I think that if they could move him this year, they're going to do it. I think that they're totally in the quarterback market. It's just going to depend what happens at 1. If Carolina shocks everybody and goes CJ Stroud, I think the Texans have no choice but to take Young. And if it goes the other way around, they're not going to take Stroud. They're going to play their cards and they're going to mess up the draft boards.
See, now it's interesting you say that. So, again, a lot of talk out of Carolina. What I've heard, Frank Reich likes C.J. Stroud, but the ownership likes Bryce Young. And I don't know if there's any validity to that. That's just kind of the word that I'm getting out of Charlotte, and the ownership's going to win out there. So if Bryce Young does go number 1, C.J. Stroud, then you say, and I've heard this as well, that Houston may not take him. Could that be a situation then where if Stroud's available at 3, whether the Colts trade up, the Titans trade up, Stroud could definitely be in play still for, say, a Tennessee before Anthony Richardson were to go off the board at 4.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, if the Texans don't take a quarterback at 2, Arizona's pick it just became that much more valuable at 3. I mean, they're going to pull a crazy king's ransom because it's going to be one of those, you have to make the deal in 10 minutes. So you can't really play around with time anymore. Now you got to just throw your best offer on the board and see if they take it. And then even, you throw your best offer on the board, and now that's kind of like, well, what if you want to throw this in? So you're throwing, stuff on top of that. And we've seen, Chicago get fleeced from 3 to 2 by, San Francisco in 2017 for Mitch Trubisky. We've seen those draft day trades where it's last minute and it's a huge price that you pay. And so I think Arizona is in a really good position if Houston doesn't take a quarterback there. And yeah, C.J. Stroud's probably the pick at 3 if he survives that far.
Final moments here with John Vogel. NFL Draft Blitz is where you find him. He does a terrific job covering the NFL draft. All right, John, Anthony Richardson. Obviously, we know all about him in Northeast Florida. It's going to be a tale to me of what could have been. I mean, I think people that don't follow Florida football, John, are going to be stunned in 5 years when they look back on his college career. Threw less than 400 passes, only started 13 games, only won 6 of those games as a starting quarterback, yet he is the most polarizing guy by far coming into this draft. You mentioned Indianapolis at 4, and it's interesting. Guys like you that cover the draft, most of you seem to love the guy, yet you talk to the college football gurus out there, and they'll say he's more of a project. There's just not a lot of gray area. Can you remember a player that there was this differing of opinion on this much, this close to the draft?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield a few years ago was kind of in that mix where, some people thought he had an arm, some people thought he didn't, some people thought he was mobile, some people thought he wasn't. But I'm going to tell you this, Ryan, and I think the number one thing about Anthony Richardson is he is one of 2 players at the quarterback position in this draft that is going to walk into the NFL with 2 top 5 traits. And what I mean by that is, if you look at Bryce Young's got 2 elite traits that he can do. He is going to be an elite improviser, and he understands the game at an elite level. So you've got 2 things right there to work with Bryce Young. With Anthony Richardson, you have top 5 arm strength and you have top 5 athletic ability at the quarterback position. And you look at quarterbacks that might have a stronger arm than him, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, maybe you could make the argument for Justin Herbert. And when you look at guys that could be more athletic than him, it's Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson. You can make an argument for Jalen Hurts, but I think that Richardson would beat him out just because he's bigger, he's faster. And so when you take that into consideration and how a defense has to play against a player like that, that's terrifying because you can play deep, right? You're going to play your safeties 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. If he gets outside the pocket and he's one-on-one with a safety, all of a sudden, safety's got to make a decision in that split moment. Am I going to go cover deep and take away his throw and let him run 15 yards, or am I going to come up to cut him off and let him throw it over me? And that's the big question, right? So with a guy like him, if you can scheme him properly, I think that's somebody that, he has the potential to be a superstar just because of those. That's probably the best combination of elite traits that you can have at the quarterback position. Not just, with the other thing is with the quarterback stuff that he does, his mechanics. He's not a guy that's really that messed up outside of his feet. So if you can get him around a good quarterbacks coach that can teach him to be consistent through his drop, when he gets to his hop step, explode off of that, work up into the pocket. He's already got the pocket presence. He's very comfortable working in the pocket. And I think that his real issue with his accuracy and everything else, it's really just his feet. You make his feet consistent, and that's just a lot of repetition and practice. And this is a guy that's moldable because he hasn't played a lot of football. You've got a guy that's potentially a superstar in the NFL.
Yeah, it would certainly be an interesting dynamic here with the amount of Gator fans in Northeast Florida that are also Jaguar fans. I think at this point there's a better chance than not either Tennessee or Indianapolis ends up with Anthony Richardson, and the Jaguars will be playing him twice a year for the foreseeable future in the AFC South. John Vogel, NFL Draft Blitz. John, tell me the good folks here in Jacksonville the best way they can follow you for all your draft content.
Yeah, honestly, everything that I do, it goes up on Twitter. So my Twitter is @DraftVogel. That's the best way to keep up with everything. And a lot of things coming down the line here in the future. So excited to see what happens.
Hey, John, we always appreciate the time. Again, you do a fantastic job. Thank you for taking time out today. We certainly appreciate it.
No, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the invite.
First place on the First Coast. First feels good. This is 1010XL, home of the Jaguars fan.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org.
Apply by May 18th.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative, with the answers to the questions I'm asked the most. Yes, we are local, and no, I'm not hiring an actor to read these commercials. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, Green for Life.
It's a unique gift idea and a popular way to add fun and personality to any wedding environment. Mystic Cornhole Company builds custom, high-quality boards right here in Jax. Visit the shop on Phillips Highway or check out their designs at mysticcornhole.com.
Hey, Matt Hayes, temperatures are rising, and when you have an AC breakdown, you need it repaired today. Fenwick Home Services is the expert cooling team you can trust to repair your system the same day or it's free. Fenwick is Jacksonville's always-ready cooling and plumbing team. Available 24/7, even nights and weekends with no emergency fees. Plus, Fenwick will keep your system covered with Florida's leading repair warranties. Call or book online at fenwickezbook.com.
This Day in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 21st, 1996, the Chicago Bulls win NBA record 72 games, a record that held until the Warriors' 73 wins in 2015.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful safely in our dining room, or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
We want people to feel that when they call Harrell & Harrell, they're calling Harrell & Harrell. They're not calling a satellite office or a call center or getting an automated phone system. We are with our clients, fighting for our clients, handling the process ourselves, and not asking others to do that for us. I mean, we feel like we made the right decision to be the size that we are, large enough to take on anyone, but small enough to care and really know our clients. Offices, Jacksonville.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all. Selling or pawning, get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Serving the First Coast for over 20 years, Instant Keys offers honest, professional locksmith service for the replacement of lost, stolen, or broken keys and remotes. Get dealer-level service at a fraction of the time and cost. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
The best golfing weather is upon us, and Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to enjoy your round of golf with us. Our warm and welcoming atmosphere and spectacular golf course keeps our customers coming back. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, it's Prosser here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money and pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement project. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. So even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness. Say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or as always, you can visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
It's time to fire up the grill. Houston's Meat Specials of the Week. 10 pounds of fresh jumbo chicken wings, $19.95. Fresh baby back ribs, $2.99 a pound. And whole Packer T-bone steaks at $4.95 a pound. Sliced free. Only at Houston's Meat, Main Street and 295.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
NBA playoff action coming down to the wire. 90 seconds to go in Atlanta. Hawks trail the Celtics 2-0 in the series. They lead Game 3 by 3. Trae Young, 26 tonight for Atlanta. The Hawks are just drilling threes. They are absolutely drilling threes in the fourth quarter. They just hit another one to go up 6. Boy, they are giving a great battle here in Game 3 to try to make this a series. They now lead Boston 124-118, less than 90 seconds to go. Again, worth repeating, no team in NBA history has ever come back from 3-0 down in the playoffs, and the Hawks are trying to avoid that, and it's looking pretty good for them right now. They lead by 6, 90 seconds to go. Game 3, New York and Cleveland. Knicks lead that game 29-25. That series is tied at 1, tipping off in about 20 minutes. It'll be Game 3, Denver and Minnesota. The Nuggets lead that series 2-0. Big news in the NBA today as well. No big surprise, but Victor Wembanyama. Who is that? Well, that is going to be the overwhelming number 1 pick in the draft on June 28th. He officially declares for the NBA today, the 7-foot wingman, who some people say is a little bit like Greek Freak, a little bit like Luka, a little Kristaps Porzingis, all mixed into one. And here come the Celtics. They're trying to make a game out of this at the end here. But Victor Wembanyama is also declared for the NBA draft. And again, he will go number 1. The draft lottery is about a month from now, and whoever wins that will win the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. Coming up next, Andrew Gibson. You hear him every afternoon on the Franzi Show. He's also the host of River City Hardball. His show airs Sunday morning, this Sunday at 11 a.m. Let's talk a little college, a little professional, and even a little high school baseball with Andrew Gibson. That's coming up next. Trae Young hits a floater. Hawks up 5, less than a minute to go. It's looking good for Atlanta to win Game 3 of this series. Let's talk with Andrew Gibson. A little baseball talk next on a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
You have arrived at your destination.
And you were meant to be here.
This is 1010XL.
This is your time.
Buying a car can be stressful, especially one sold as is or with no warranty. Do the 7, 10, or 30-day warranties leave you wondering what will happen on day 31?
Stop. Car buying doesn't need to be so stressful. Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet now offer the exclusive Beaver Certified program protecting your used car for 7 years or 100,000 miles. That's right, certified Hondas, Fords, Nissans, and any other make you consider now come with the peace of mind you deserve. Shop worry-free at Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville.
On the outside, everything looks fine, but on the inside, an unseen enemy is plotting the destruction of your home. Termites can be deadly to your home unless you fight back with Southern Fumigation. 259-9811. They will service your home from inspection to completion. No contracting out your job to other companies. 259-9811. Southern Fumigation offers a free pest inspection with no obligation. That's Southern Fumigation, 259-9811.
After my surgery, my knee was back in shape after only a few months. I trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with my daughter's back surgery as well. Both of us are great. We're doing exactly what we love to do. This is David Lane, and I seriously recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic issue.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy. Our team at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists is ready to help you too. We'd like to thank the coaches and schools who trust in our team at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. You've heard us talk about it. Window World, the #1 window replacement company in the USA, selling over 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years.
That's a lot of satisfied customers and why J.D. Powers has awarded Window World Best in Customer Satisfaction 3 out of 4 years.
Window World stands behind their slogan, simply the best for less. With Window World, you get top quality windows at a price that leaves more of your money in your bank account, and you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement industry. When compared to our competition, there is none. See for yourself. Call the competition. Get quotes from them. But before you buy, get Window World's free estimate and compare the quality of the windows and the price.
You'll see.
And when your new Window World windows are installed and they're saving you money on your energy bills, if anything goes wrong with those windows, Window World and I will be there to make it right. That's my guarantee.
Call Window World today. Start saving money on your new windows and your energy bills and take vacation with your savings. Window World, online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors and siding.
Every day you hear interesting and insightful conversations from national names on the Farah and Farah phone line.
I insist on complete honesty. If you have something to say to me, I wish you would just say it.
Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah on 1010XL.
Servicing every customer like they're famous. But what does that mean for you? It comes down to the famous philosophy. You'll find a consistency at all 20 locations in friendly service, honest pricing, and realistic time expectations. They know when you find someone you trust to maintain your vehicle, keep it running right, and lasting longer, you'll stick with them. And that's the famous philosophy at Famous Automotive in Quick Lube. Ask about a fleet account for your business.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Jacksonville has some junk, and J-Dog is removing it. They're here to do the dirty work. You don't want to remove and dispose of large furniture or appliances yourself? Call J-Dog. Here now proudly serving you, removing junk from your home or business. They can even handle small demolition projects, and they're still donating local items to veterans in need. So let J-Dog do the dirty work for you. J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned and operated. JDog.com.
Mike Duraco here for Clearwater Irrigation and Drainage. Let me tell you, I had a bad standing water issue on my front sidewalk, and John Haney and his crew came in and completely solved it. Their service division fixed my sprinkler system, too. We all know these guys singing is terrible, but their service is excellent.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. All right, Mike.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJacks.com. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Friday evening, and we are glad you are with us. You know, we've been so caught up on the NFL draft, which is inside of a week now. That is hard to believe. Major League Baseball now over 3 weeks in to the regular season. And, boy, red-hot starts in Tampa and Atlanta. And you're starting to settle in a little bit. We're finding out pretty quickly what teams are going to be able to compete, what teams maybe are not as good as we thought coming into the year. With all that being said, let me welcome in my friend Andrew Gibson. You hear him every afternoon on The Frangie Show. He is the host of River City Hardball. He has another episode coming up this Sunday at 11 a.m., and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Gibby, how we doing, man?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on again. It's a beautiful time of year. Baseball is here. We've got everything going on with high school, college, pro. It's an exciting time, and I appreciate you having me on.
Boy, we had a crazy college game here this week. UNF 15-14 over Florida State. What a win for my alma mater.
Yeah, that was a big win. I was at the game for a little bit. Had to leave before the game was over, and you know, it was an incredible game. A lot of home runs hit in that game, and you know, I don't care what Florida State's record is. I don't care how much of a year they've had that's down. That's a nice win for the UNF Ospreys baseball program. So congratulations to Tim Parrington and their staff for coming through and winning that game in extra innings. You know, there was a crazy stat about that game, Hack, among many of them. That was the most pitchers that Florida State has ever used in a game. They used 10 pitchers in that game against UNF in a 10-inning game. That was kind of crazy to know and think that was the most pitchers that Florida State's ever used in a game. 10 pitchers against the Ospreys, and UNF ultimately winning that game on a wild pitch in the 10th inning.
Yeah, wow, that is crazy. Florida State's played a lot of baseball for a lot of years and never used 10 pitchers in a game before this past week. Andrew Gibson here with us. All right, Gibby, to the major leagues we go. All right, before we get into Tampa and Atlanta and the big storylines, just kind of a broad overview. We're about 20 games in for a lot of teams. Are you starting to figure out, all right, this team's going to be competitive, this team maybe is not as good as I thought? Is 20 games enough of a sample size, or is it still too early?
I think it's still too early. I think you can get an early indication of, okay, this team is probably maybe not what we thought they were going to be. For example, the St. Louis Cardinals are 8-11. I didn't expect that. The Cardinals have good players. Paul Goldschmidt is an MVP. He won the National League MVP last year. Nolan Arenado is a great player. He's a future Hall of Famer. They've got good players on their team. I'm surprised that the Cardinals have been as basically average as they've been in this first 20-game sample size. But, you know, on the other end of the spectrum, teams that maybe are better than you might have thought. It's a kind of a slugfest of a Central Division, but the Minnesota Twins have started off better than I thought they would. They're 11-8 through their first 19 games or so. The Texas Rangers are 12-6. They're a team that has a couple of quality good players. Jacob deGrom, they obviously signed in the offseason, but he's had his share of, you know, injuries over the course of his career, especially lately. And, you know, they're playing a lot better baseball, but you look at the worst teams, the Oakland A's are by far the worst team in baseball. I thought that going into the season. I remember looking at a poll heading into opening day that said the Nationals are the worst team in baseball, and I said there's no chance that the Nationals are worse than the Oakland A's. They're basically a AAA team. They're 3-16. They're obviously, the story that came out yesterday, Oakland is going to lose their team. I hate that for their fan base, but because they've lost the Raiders, they lost the Warriors, so now they're going to lose the A's. But Oakland, the A's are moving to Las Vegas here in the next couple of years. But yeah, the A's are by far the worst team in baseball. And look, they've got some good individual players. But it's a shame that they're that bad. But yeah, I mean, the Braves are absolutely loaded again, 14-5. They're in a slugfest again with the Mets. It's really going to come down to them at the end of this thing. But I'll say this: watch out for the Marlins. The Marlins are playing actually above 500 baseball. You might not believe that. The Marlins, it seems like they start out so slow and they're in the cellar before you know it. But heck, the Marlins are 10-9. They're 7-3 in their last 10 ball games.
Gibby, you're a baseball encyclopedia, which is why we love having you on. And you mentioned Oakland. And again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm curious your thoughts. Sad day for baseball that Oakland is no longer going to have a team. You think about the history of the Oakland A's, or is there excitement because there's a team finally going to Vegas?
I think it's a little bit mixed. I mean, you have the Oakland fans that have to be, sad and really frustrated because the city of Oakland did not want to build them a stadium. It's been a long, ongoing, really arduous process for that city to try to see if we can hang on to this team. But the bottom line in any sport, if you don't build a stadium, if you don't renovate your stadium, they're going to move. We've seen this time and time again. St. Louis did not build a stadium. They moved. They moved to L.A. with the Rams. It's countless examples. Oakland didn't build a stadium for the Raiders. They left. They went to Vegas. San Diego didn't build a stadium for the Chargers. They went to L.A. I mean, we've seen this many times over and over in many different sports, and this is another example of Oakland didn't build a stadium. It's the worst stadium in sports. I mean, there was a story that came out last week. I don't know if you saw this, Hack, and you would have lost your mind. Knowing you, in the years I've known you, you would have lost your mind in this situation. So there was a possum that came out of the ceiling in the visiting radio booth at the Oakland A's stadium during a game.
Yeah.
During the game, the possum crawls through the roof while you're on the air. I mean, can you imagine? It's a terrible stadium. It really sucks for their fans, but on the other hand, it is exciting for Vegas. I thought this the whole time that Oakland, they got to go to Vegas. The A's have to go to Vegas. I've thought that for a long time, and it's coming to fruition now. For any sport in any league, pro sports are in Vegas. They're going to Vegas. The Raiders are in Vegas. You got hockey in Vegas. I'm kind of stunned, to be honest, that the NBA doesn't have a team in Vegas yet. I mean, you're the NBA guy. You could probably tell me more about that.
It won't be long. It won't be long.
Yeah, it can't be long. So pro sports are in Vegas. That's what it is, and I'm excited that baseball is going to Vegas. In a nutshell, that's good for baseball. I hate it for the Oakland fans, but it's great for Major League Baseball to finally be in Vegas.
It was a nice reminder here in Jacksonville, too, Gibby, about how lucky we are to have Shad Khan, because there was a lot of talk for a lot of years about obviously the Jaguars moving, and you've heard none of that over the last 2, 3, 4 years now. Andrew Gibson, you hear him every afternoon on the Frangie Show. He's also the host of River City Hardball. He's with us here on Hacker After Dark. Gibby, the Tampa Bay Rays got off to a historic start, tying the 82 Atlanta Braves and the 87 Milwaukee Brewers, winning their first 13 games. They're 16-3 overall as they welcome in the White Sox for a 3-game set beginning tonight. How has Tampa gotten off to such a red-hot start?
I think some of their players that, have been talked about and maybe talked up a lot are finally coming through. I mean, Wander Franco's having a really good start to his season. He's batting over 300. They're just blasting home runs, too. I mean, the Rays have always been that team, Hack, that they just do things the right way. They don't hit a whole lot of home runs. They just know how to play the game the right way. Well, now they also do that, but they're now hitting home runs and they're pitching out of their mind. So, you look at a guy like Taylor Walls, who played at Florida State, is a guy that's really come through strong here of late for the Rays. He's hitting .351. One of the most incredible things about the Rays is they've had so many injuries to their pitchers. Tyler Glasnow hasn't pitched yet this year. I really hated to see Jeffrey Springs go down. He was having really a Cy Young caliber start to his year, and he's a special guy for me because he's an App State guy. Jeffrey Springs was the Sunday starter when I was in college, and now he's having a terrific major league career, and now he's undergoing Tommy John, so I really hate that for him. But Shane Baz has been down. You haven't seen him yet. He's one of the top pitching prospects for the Rays. So doing all of what they're doing now with also having the pitching injuries that they've had is pretty incredible. It just shows you the depth and the talent and the kind of things that the Rays are able to do. They're 15-3, and they've lost all these really good pitchers. So I wonder how much you can sustain losing pitching like that. They're going to get some guys back. Glasnow is going to come back soon. But I really hated to see Springs because he was really the kind of top of the rotation type of guy. But he's probably their number 3 that they just lost because McClanahan would be your number 1. This guy Rasmussen has been really good for the Rays as well. So, again, we talked earlier on, Hack, on opening day or previous to opening day. You're not probably going to know a lot of the Rays players, but they're going to wind up winning, going to the ALCS or making the playoffs. And they're 15-3. They're well on their way to doing that.
Yeah, I found myself watching a lot of their games. Yanni Diaz, Brandon Lau, Randy Arozarena. You mentioned Wander Franco. I mean, they are destroying the baseball right now. And they just finished off a 2-game winning streak over the Cincinnati Reds in which they outscored the Reds 18-0. Now, I'm not saying Cincinnati's anything great, but you go into somebody else's ballpark, you win a game 10-0, you follow it up with an 8-0 performance. That is pretty impressive stuff by Tampa. Again, the White Sox come in for a 3-game set down at Tropicana Field beginning tonight. Let's go to your Atlanta Braves. Equally almost as hot as the Rays to start the year. Atlanta playing very, very well there in the NL East.
They really are, and you look at the Braves, and they're just an embarrassment of riches almost every position. The 1 through 3 in the lineup: Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, Austin Riley. Then you throw this guy in there, Sean Murphy, who they just got as really a secondary catcher because Travis d'Arnaud was their main guy, and people thought, why would you go get Sean Murphy from the A's? Like you've already got Travis d'Arnaud, you had William Contreras. And you're like, a lot of Braves fans are like, why did we just do that? And this guy has been unbelievable. He had a streak, Sean Murphy, the Braves catcher, of 11 consecutive extra base hits. I mean, he's just been incredible. Ronald Acuna's hitting .368 to start the season. That'll play. Matt Olson's had an MVP type of start. I mean, he is striking out a lot, but that's part of his game. But Matt Olson's crushing the baseball. He's one of the tops in home runs and RBIs already to start the season. Spencer Strider, one of the top pitchers for the Braves, is just must-see TV for any Braves fan, really any baseball fan, because he's like Nolan Ryan out there. He's throwing 100 miles an hour as a starting pitcher, and he's able to work into the 6th inning in multiple times. But he did something the other night that I just, it's hard to believe that he's doing stuff like this in an early part of his career. He just tied John Smoltz's Atlanta Braves record with his, I think it was his 8th consecutive start of 9 or more strikeouts. And that tied John Smoltz's Braves record. And this guy's like 23 years old. Wow. And he's pretty close to the Nolan Ryan record of 9 straight games or 8 straight games of 9 or more strikeouts. So Strider's been a monster. And, the other thing about the Braves, it's similar to the Rays. You lose a couple players, but you still keep on winning. The Braves lost Max Fried for a couple of weeks. He's their top starter. And then they also had Kyle Wright, their number 2 pitcher, on the shelf for a little bit of time to start the season. Michael Harris, the National League Rookie of the Year, the center fielder, was out for a period of time. He's still out. He's coming back soon. But the Braves have been able to sustain injuries, but also maintain the record that they have, which is 14-4. So, again, that just shows you the quality of depth and the talent that the Rays and the Braves both have. I'm going to see those 2 teams in July in Tampa, Hack, and St. Pete. That might be a preview of the World Series. I mean, seriously might.
Yeah, 2 of the best teams, probably the 2 best teams right now in baseball, 20 games in. Final moments with Andrew Gibson. You get him every afternoon on the Frangie Show. He's also the host of River City Hardball here on 1010XL. Gibby, I want to end with your show on Sunday, but quickly, Max Scherzer earlier this week gets ejected from a game after the umpires get together and see some sticky substance on his glove and I guess on his hand. I found it interesting that 3 pitchers have been ejected since the umpires started checking in game. The same lead umpire was on all 3 ejections, which I guess is interesting at this point. What was your quick reaction to Scherzer's ejection earlier this week?
Yeah, it's Phil Cuzzy. He was the guy who's been the umpire, the crew chief that's ejected all 3 of those pitchers. I was pretty surprised. I mean, Oral Hershiser, a legendary pitcher for so many years, said if you're throwing out Max Scherzer because of this rule, we probably need to investigate what the rule actually is. But look, I mean, it's black and white. You can't have anything on your glove. You can't have something on your hand. I mean, they've gone to this where they check out pitchers every time they come off the field. You've seen that. You know, the inning's over, 3 outs are done, and you come off the field, the umpire's checking your hand and your glove. And some guys are going to think they can get away with it, and you're just not going to be able to anymore. And, you know, Max Scherzer screamed over and over that it's sweat and rosin. And you know, that's just something that a lot of players use. I remember talking to Brett Myers, you know, from Jacksonville and World Series champion. He was my first guest on River City Hardball, and I asked him a long time ago about the sticky stuff, and I said, what did you have? Did you ever use anything? Brett Myers said absolutely use sweat and rosin the whole time, like all the time. He said he used that all the time. So I just think it's an umpire that's you know, just kind of going a little overboard. I don't think that you know, Max Scherzer has to really use a whole lot of stuff to be able to do what he's done. I mean, Max Scherzer is a Hall of Fame pitcher. He doesn't need sticky stuff to make things work. But I don't know. I thought it was a little bit overblown, to be honest with you. And he's got a 10-game suspension now. So he said his comment was, "I swear on my kid's life," or something like that, I wasn't using sticky stuff. So, I mean, you don't say something like that if you're you know, not completely honest about the situation.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed is it's one thing to get thrown out of a game, but when you were pleading with the umpire like Scherzer and he wouldn't let it go, at that point you probably knew Scherzer didn't believe he was doing anything wrong because he just stayed out there and was pleading with the guy, "Don't do this. I'm not doing anything wrong." It was really interesting to watch, to be honest. All right, your show's Sunday at 11 a.m., another edition of River City Hardball. You're going to be live on location this weekend. What can people look forward to?
Yeah, we're going to be live at the DBAT Jacksonville location on Powers Avenue. That's right down the street from Wolfson and Bowles, your old stomping grounds hack. So it's right there on Powers Avenue. We'll tell you more about that. But, yeah, I'm going to have people understand and get to know the people from DBAT. We're going to talk to the owners a little bit, share what they do and where you can find them and what they can provide for the baseball and softball community here in Jacksonville. So really excited about being on location 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. But it's been over a month since our last show, and so I've got a lot planned for this one. We've got a segment that I'm going to call Around the Diamond, which we're going to go to high school, college, and pro here locally in Jacksonville. We're going to have Mike Boswell, the head coach of the Bowles Bulldogs, on. He just got his 500th career victory on Tuesday night against Ponte Vedra. So Mike Boswell is going to join us. We're going to hear a few minutes of what he had to say about that victory and what it means for his career over nearly 25 years as a head coach in baseball here in Jacksonville with Inglewood and Bowles. So Coach Mike Boswell is going to join us as well. We're going to hear from 2 guys from JU and UNF. Chris Armstrong's having a historic year for the JU Dolphins. He's crushing the baseball and leading the ASUN in several different categories. He'll join us for a few moments as well. You'll hear a snippet of his interview that I did earlier a few weeks ago. Alex Lodice was the ASUN Player of the Week a few weeks ago for UNF. He's their stud freshman shortstop. He set the UNF freshman record with home runs already in his young career, and so he's going to join us a few minutes as well. We're going to have 2 major league guys come on as well that are from the Jacksonville area that played locally here at high school baseball. Brett Wisely, hope to have him on. He just got called up by the San Francisco Giants. He played his high school ball at Sandalwood. And then Justin Lawrence is a pitcher for the Rockies who played at First Coast and is having a terrific start to his season. So 2 major league guys that are from the Jacksonville area are going to be on as well. So a lot coming up live from DBAT Jacksonville, Powers Avenue, Sunday morning. Check us out at 11 o'clock.
Oh, that sounds great. River City Hardball with Andrew Gibson, Sunday, 11 a.m., right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Gibby, appreciate it, my friend. Thank you as always. We'll be listening Sunday at 11 a.m.
Awesome, man. I appreciate the time.
And again, thank you to my friend Andrew Gibson. You get him every afternoon here on the Frangie Show and his show Sunday morning, 11 a.m., River City Hardball. If you're a baseball fan here in Jacksonville, Florida, he does high school, he does college, talks a little pro ball as well. Gibby does a great job with that show. Give it a listen Sunday morning, 11 a.m., River City Hardball. Well, that'll just about do it, not only for a Friday night, but for the week here on what has been a very busy week on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Thank you guys for hanging out with us each and every night this week. We got a lot of people to thank for this Friday broadcast. Let's begin again with Andrew Gibson of the Frangie Show, talking a little Major League Baseball. Thank you to John Vogel, NFL Draft Blitz and the NFL Draft Lounge, for joining us tonight as the NFL Draft Thursday night, April the 27th. We are inside of 1 week away to the NFL Draft. Appreciate John Vogel joining us tonight. And my man JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio, as week 1 of the offseason workout program is in the books. And, of course, the Jaguars hold the 24th pick in round number 1 next Thursday night. They will have 9 draft picks in total over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Well, that'll do it for the week. Next week is going to be extraordinarily busy leading up to the draft. We will be with you Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night. No show on Thursday because the Jaguar Draft Special will air, but we will be on Friday right in the middle of round 2 and round 3, and we will have head coach Dave Campo in studio with us next Friday as NFL Draft rounds 2 and 3 are going on live here on Hacker After Dark. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And Jacksonville, thank you for spending your Friday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Friday evening and an absolutely fantastic weekend. And we will do it all over again Monday night, beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Share your life with 1010XL. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Oh, wait. I'm going to take a picture and post it on Facebook. What? Hashtag
1010XL.
Children under 5 die from drowning in Florida more than any other state. Together, we can reduce the risk of drowning. The YMCA has programs accessible to families